welcome to part 4 of the AI tutorial. In this one we're going to be covering how to make the enemy wander back to this node. Since before the enemy pretty much wanders off wherever it feels like wandering off to, we're going to have to make a simple piece of code to send the enemy back to this center node. So if it gets too far away, it'll turn around and walk back towards this node. And once it reaches here, it'll wander off, but I'm going to be saving that for a different tutorial. So we'll just go through with the different things we need for just walking back, just so you guys can get it set up, get a feel for exactly what we're doing. And in future tutorials, hopefully I'll get one done later tonight or tomorrow, and it'll show you guys how to do the distance calculations and different stuff like that. The first thing I'm going to cover though in this tutorial that's not going to be related to that. In the last tutorial I talked a little bit about how when the enemy walked over the hill, it would kind of fly through the air a little bit, and we're having a little issue with that. And I was talking about adding a rigid body add force, and I didn't have the code on hand right away, so I wasn't able to get that all set up. I threw it into fix update. I think fix update is better for physics based code, so I just threw mine in there and it works like a charm. I set it to 500. Any number should work fine. That's the number that I found out that it just sticks to the ground and it doesn't have any issues like that, so probably the more force the better, just to be safe. But yeah, just use that piece of code and your enemy will stick to the ground. Right now my enemy is pretty large, so it kind of looks weird. When it's walking over a hill, it looks like it's floating. But if you had a smaller enemy, which most people probably will for the train, it'll look a lot better that way. So yeah, just add that piece of code if you want to fix that from the last tutorial, and it'll stick to the ground. Alright, on to the next part of this tutorial. We're going to need two variables for this. We're going to need target, and that's going to be a transform. Now target, we're going to be targeting our wander enemy spawn, because with the prefab, or the instantiated object, it's not going to be able to keep variables, so we're not able to drag wandering enemy spawn onto the target for whatever reason, so it's going to have to, we're going to have to look it up. So right now, if we go to wandering enemy spawn, you see I have a monster spawn one. You just want to add tag, go to list of tags, add more if you don't have them, and I just added monster spawn, and then you want to click on it and go down, click monster spawn. That's all you need to do, and that's all you need to set up that. And so we have these two variables, and then center monster. This is going to be for this. When it's just the name, that means if it's true, it's going to call the code inside of here. So right now it's going to be false by default, and I'm just doing a little bit of testing this time, so we'll be changing up some of this code in the future for tutorials, but for now this is just kind of learning process for you guys and get your code set up to work for this. So we're going to be doing target, and we're going to be assigning target transform from monster spawn 1 that we set up, because it finds the tag for that once it spawns. And then we're going to be wanting to call the test function. I'll probably be renaming this, but for now I just named it test just because I'm testing it out. But it does a yield wait for seconds for 5, and then it switches this to true. So once that becomes true, it calls this code. Now we're going to want to use a look at target, and I found this to work out the best. There's some more complex code, but this code works how I want it to. So what this would do is rotate the enemy, no matter where it's looking at, towards the object or target. Now the problem with this, if your node is like up in the sky, or if you're at a different altitude on like the train and such, it's going to have a lot of issues, because it's going to want to rotate its entire body up towards wherever the location is. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to limit where it wants to rotate to. So instead of rotating, it's going to stay standing straight up, and it's going to still walk towards our target without affecting any of that. So the node could be way up in the air and it'll keep walking until it's right under it, and we won't have an issue with that. And that's pretty much all I have set up for now. Like I said before, we'll go and cover distance next time. We'll be using the target node to mess with that. And then we can do different states of the AI, so random wandering. If it's trying to follow the player, the target's going to be the player instead. And if it gets too far away, we're going to have to keep calculating that out until the monster needs to walk back towards that node. And so I can jump in here real quick and show you guys exactly those different pieces of code we talked about and how they work. So you see here, sticks to the ground. You see a little bit of leeway because the box is so big. After 5 seconds, yeah, it starts walking back towards the node, and it'll stay on the ground and it'll twitch around like that, which is something we don't want to happen. So once it gets close enough to the node, it'll disable the look at function, and it'll go back to wandering around, and we won't have that issue. So yeah, stay tuned guys for the next tutorial. Hopefully I can get it done soon, and yeah, stay tuned.